We have Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans.
First thing I want to say, how the fuck did J.J. Watt only get 2 tackles against this terrible team? 2 tackles.
That's, you know what, this is a very excellent point. I want to bring that up too. I said this to you in the off season, and now I want to officially have this on video.
Okay.
That NFL Network had their top 100 players. JJ Watt got number one. I 100% agree with it. I absolutely love that he got number one player in NFL Network last year. Uh, the first thing I said though is that if JJ Watt doesn't come into 2015 with 22 sacks and 5 touchdowns and however many tackles he had, that everyone's going to talk about, well, what happened to JJ Watt? He's having a
Right.
bad year. He's having a bad year. And literally, JJ Watt is on such a high spectrum for just a defensive player, that the only person that you can compare JJ Watt to right now is JJ Watt.
Right.
So, do you really expected him to do better this year? I mean, if he did, he probably would have gotten an MVP or something
He
this
doesn't
year.
have to do better, but you have to think. This is a game that, when you're talking about especially like individual stats, this is a
Mhm.
terrible offense. Like, the offensive line, whatever. I mean, it's getting better with Winston. I'm not gonna, you know, this is written all over it for JJ Watt to boost his stats in this game.
Yeah.
Like, you've got an easy stat boosting game. Didn't get a sack, didn't get a turnover, didn't. I mean, 2 tackles. I I guess I think he got 3 assists. If I would watch the whole game, my guess is, because I only saw the highlights. Obviously, we don't sit down and watch the full footage from every single fucking game. If someone wants to pay us, I'll fucking do it. I'd love to, but uh, my guess is they probably ran the ball and passed the ball away from him. You know, wouldn't that seem like the thing to do?
Yeah.
double team, double team him on the offensive line if you have to. Do whatever. Just, you know. And his stats are going to suffer partially because of the amazing season he had last season, because people are going to be like overly cautious of him now. It's kind of like Jimmy Graham had this problem with the Saints last year, where he was getting double teamed like every play. You can only do so much if you're getting double teamed.
Yeah. I mean, do you really think that uh, they're gonna try to run it towards JJ Watt? Do you think that they're
Hell
gonna,
no.
yeah, exactly, like try to throw over him? Do you think that they're gonna,
Right.
yeah, exactly? People are gonna look out for him. People know that
Right.
to look out for
Before
him.
before he even had the season he had last season, he had already earned the moniker JJ SWAT, right, for
Mm-hmm.
all the batted down passes he had. So, uh, I guess that's the most surprising thing about this game. The Texans winning, getting their first win, isn't that shocking. Tampa's, they're a team that's improving, but they're still not good.
Yeah, which is
Uh,
surprising that you think that is. I mean, it's a low scoring game.
right.
And you think with Vincent Jackson, Mike Evans, Jameis Winston being your new, young rookie hot quarterback, you think that you could put up more numbers on the board at
You know
least.
what? I think the problem is Lovey Smith. Personally, Lovey Smith is a defensive coordinator. Really, I mean, he's a defensive-minded guy, and I don't think you're ever going to see monster offensive numbers under a Lovey Smith team. That's not a bad thing. I'm not dissing the guy. I'm just saying he's a defensive minded coach.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you're ever going to see maybe the thriving monster numbers under a Lovey Smith ran team as you would under, Mike McCarthy or Sean Payton or even Bill Belichick,
That's
the lead
actually an
team.
extremely good
So
point. I mean, the last good team that Lovie Smith had was the Bears, and
right,
they're
and
defensive. Yeah.
ex- definitely. I mean, they had Cutler and he was good, but he wasn't like definitely not elite.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Winston, and if they get chemistry, they might be good enough that where if Tampa gets a better defense, Tampa just doesn't have an identity. To the bottom
Yeah.
line,
Yeah,
They just
that's a
don't.
really good point.
I mean, they got this new young quarterback, and they got a win under their belt, against the Saints, and they just don't really have it together yet. They don't know who they are, and so no one else really knows who they are other than bad. So,
As of right
uh,
now.
right. So until they figure out who they're gonna be, they're not gonna win very many football games.
I guess one last question is, how much faith do you have in either Ryan Mallett or Jameis Winston? I mean, I guess you kind of answered that question about Jameis Winston, but
Right.
how much faith do you have in Ryan? I mean, you
I
got
have
to win, but against an incredibly, probably the worst team in the NFL right now.
I have
Well,
more
arguably.
faith in Winston than Mallett. He has honestly, Winston has more time left than Mallett to get better.
Yeah.
Uh, Mallett's biggest problem is the division he's in. He's got to compete. Like, I know Andrew Luck's struggling a little bit right now, but you got to think that's going to pass. The Colts will get a little bit better. They'll figure it out, and you're going to have to compete with the numbers he's going to put up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think Mariah Mallett realistically can. So just winning the division is going to be hard. Much less doing anything in the postseason. What are the Texans going to do when they face the Patriots
Yeah.
or the Steelers if Big Ben's healthy, or Denver right now? Like, they're going to lose.
Hell, honestly, I mean,
Man,
I think if the Texans even win against the Ravens, who haven't won a game yet, I think they would lose.
right? I
Realistically.
mean, J.J. Watt, and I think I said this last week. It doesn't matter how good a defensive lineman is. He can't. He can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
He can't quarterback the team.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't even make the postseason last year. And J.J. Watt had an amazing season. Almost won the. It's just the Texans have to do something. When Arian Foster comes back, my tune might change. He can change the whole way the offense is going.
Do
If
you
Arian
really
Foster
think
can
so?
stay
I mean,
healthy. If he can stay healthy,
if he,
that's
do you really
problem.
think that Aaron Foster has what it takes to change the entire perspective of the offense? I mean, because honestly, Alfred Blue's not doing bad. I mean,
He's not.
he's carrying the team pretty damn well. Obviously, Aaron Foster's the number one guy, so he's going to carry the team even better. But that's not going to help Ryan Mallett out that
Once you get that
much.
1-2 punch, I mean, the defense is what's really surprisingly not playing as good. If the
Right.
defense can play as good as they look on paper, Ryan Mallett doesn't have to be good. He just has to not fumble. I mean, shit, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with, Trent Dilfer at quarterback, right? Trent Dilfer is by no means good. I mean, he was average, I guess, at best,
Mm-hmm.
And so if the defense can play to an elite level and then get a running game going, Ryan Mallett doesn't have to be good. He just has to not suck.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
And I guess Arian Foster would help out with something like that.
definitely,
Yeah.
he just needs to stay healthy. And Alfred Blue, take away some of them carries that help him stay healthy. And with the South being as bad as it is, the Texans aren't out of the picture by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Not this early. So
Well, guess we'll have to see, huh?
we'll see.
We'll
It's
see.
interesting. That's for damn sure.